Hey, Nerf Herder, I'm Addy Thomas.
I'm Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us. We got a new episode of A Certain Point of View. This is a rare occurrence.
I love it. Was
What's
that
so
20
funny this
minutes
time?
that we just recorded not in the show?
Yeah, I don't feel like keeping that in the show. It was all over the place. I expect a certain degree of flow from our show. I feel like that's what separates us from the lowest tier of podcasters. Yet we still have their numbers or below. But
So we should aspire to have the listeners that bottom tier podcast have.
right. But anyway, thanks for joining us as we sort of wrap up our Star Wars podcast over the next couple months. We are still in our rewatch leading up to The Rise of Skywalker, the end of the Skywalker Saga.
I had no idea there were so many Star Wars movies.
Wait, you mean you didn't realize when when this was episode 9 coming up that it indicated a rough number of Star Wars movies?
To be fair, their math has been spotty over the years. They're jumping all over.
Yeah, I guess you can't totally count on that.
I didn't know maybe we were doing a Lost thing where we're flashing forward or sideways.
That would be the worst thing to happen in episode 9 is if all of a sudden they just start flashing sideways to an alternate dimension and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't want to think about that. Maybe we'll even have more. Well, so we're going to talk about Revenge of the Sith, talk about the latest episodes of The Mandalorian, and then maybe we'll have some more predictions for Star Wars Episode 9, like outrageous predictions.
Your prediction was outlandish? Really? I thought you had excellent points.
You didn't like Mecha Force I don't even Force Voltron?
Yes, actually I did. And I did get some feedback. Other people liked it as well. So
That's not good. That's not good. It's not good if they think it's a good idea.
this is why we're not doing a Star Wars podcast much longer.
Well, it's also why we're not in charge of writing Star Wars movies. It's why we're podcasting, because those who can't do talk or teach. So, anyway,
you just shit on so many podcasts.
Yeah, but we can say that because we're podcasting, right?
Oh,
yeah,
sure, yeah,
yeah. No, now we've cut off any chance of cross promotion, right?
Ever. I wouldn't be on this show.
Yeah, that's why we're going to do serial killers. It's going to be a better show.
Sure it is. Sure it is. Same bullshit, different topic.
It almost sounds like the way we're talking about it now sounds like it's never going to happen. It's just like this idea for a show that'll never actually get off the ground.
I got to be honest with you, between the two show ideas that we were kicking around, between serial killers and the shit show,
yeah,
the shit show's more appealing.
I know why, but yeah, anyway, that's not the point. This episode isn't about us talking about other potential shows we could do.
Besides this one.
That's the complete opposite of being present.
Oh my God, that is the greatest idea for a podcast.
It's a show talking about doing other shows.
Doing other shows.
It's like the Seinfeld of podcasts.
Yes, let's do it. This is a brilliant idea. Look at my eyes light up. Look at the joy.
Yeah.
This is a great idea.
All right, calm down.
People would listen to that. That would
Maybe.
be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. That could be so, because you can lampoon all the different types of shows and the people in podcasting.
I like the idea of a lampooning other podcasts and the formats and in sort of a community style.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think we're smart enough to do it in a community style.
Bet me. Look, I'll go full Dan Harmon on this.
Yeah, that's my fear.
I will drink excessively.
Right? Anyway, don't forget, you can check out other podcasts that are part of Certain Point of View, the ones that are continuing to go on, including the Scruffy Nerf Herders. Our friends from Real Movie News and Reviews are wrapping up their own adventure. They just wrapped that up, and I think we're about to start another adventure.
We record tomorrow night.
Yeah, so you may see us back on the Star Wars D20 adventure circuit soon.
There's a circuit. I like it.
Apparently.
Case created a circuit.
It's a thing. I mean, we're not the only Star Wars D20 podcast out there or show out there.
Oh, we should get the
ours is just
on our show.
Really, really crazy.
No, it's
a special brand of Case's.
Case is sick.
Yeah.
Let's just put it out there. The guy, he's sick.
We really should put some money together for Christmas for him to get therapy.
Therapy?
Or at least to get a therapist to be on the Scruffy Nerf Herders with us.
To talk us through.
That way we can at least get the benefit of a podcast out of his therapy.
Oh, I like that. It's like an intervention.
Right?
Oh, come on. This is such a good show idea. I love this.
That is almost the worst crass commercialism and like use of someone else's emotional state.
Oh yeah, no, it's disgusting.
Benefit. Yeah, I know. It made me feel dirty even pitching that idea.
I know, but think of the money.
I don't know. We need to prove that we can like convert listeners to customers at some point.
Oh, I think we can totally do that.
You think we can?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've got some great ideas.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, I actually do.
Okay. Anyway, so those ideas aren't for this podcast.
No, that's a totally different podcast
Yeah,
where we talk about things that we could sell.
Right. Okay.
We can bring that podcast.
This show's completely off the rails. Yeah. You realize that, right?
It was never on the rails. The show never got started right. I mean, you could have a podcast just talking about like all, you know how like every podcast like has some kind of sponsor,
yeah,
or like you could just like talk about like different things that you want to pitch to be sold on podcasts.
Yeah, but why would anyone listen to that?
Why do they listen to anything that's a podcast?
Okay, no, I mean,
have you seen some of the podcasts out
there?
No,
some of them are really out there, and I wonder
all of them have more listeners than us. I don't think the problem is topic, Addy.
Yeah. Have you looked at our Spotify numbers? I saw a bunch of people have been looking at their Spotify numbers, and I'm sort of afraid to. No. But I also, my account isn't the one connected to it. I think yours
actually honestly don't give a shit. I know Case was reaching out to me the other day asking for numbers and stuff like that, and so he was getting all that stuff, and I was just like, all right, cool, bro. I'm not like,
yeah,
I didn't even look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly don't care. Yeah. I just do this for the fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and for the glory.
Yeah, clearly you're doing this for the glory.
And the free Star Wars stuff that, is on its way.
Well, I mean, Disney's paying us, right?
Of course. Yeah, we're obvious shills.
We're shills. Trust me, we want to get to shill status.
Jesus Christ, I'd happily hawk anything that they asked me to. I'm not even going to pretend I'd have to think about it.
Right. All right, so Revenge of the Sith.
I like this movie, man.
So
what happened?
I have such mixed feelings about this movie because I will say this since so I have watched this movie several times.
You haven't finished the sentence yet.
I know.
You'll get there.
Yeah, eventually. Patience. Come on, man. Don't be like Anakin. Don't be impatient.
I'm just saying, gotta move the movie along, man.
Yeah, I will say, I really enjoyed this rewatch. Not the one that I tried watching with you because I fell asleep and I was just so exhausted in that day.
Yeah.
But
great picture, by the way.
What? Oh, whatever.
It was a great picture of us. It really summed up that evening.
Yeah.
Caught the magic in the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, so I will say, like, I've had a hard time rewatching this movie over the years, but the first time I really enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
Had some problems right off the bat, but this time, this felt the closest to that rewatch, but I was able to appreciate so much more in this rewatch compared to any other time. I've always loved the opening of this movie. I don't know how much of that is just by the experience of it, because I got to see this at the Uptown on the big screen. Mm-hmm. I was like on the third row, so it was almost a little too close. Yeah. But still, it was like the way, like, it starts off with the big ominous drum beats, and you like Anakin and Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighters sweep in, and you don't have the reveal of the planet of Coruscant and just the scale of the battle until like a couple seconds into it. Like, I love the way they do that opening scene. And I enjoy it pretty much all the way up until even though there's some crazy stuff in that opening, I really do enjoy it all the way up until the landing on Coruscant. I do too. Yeah.
I do too. It's fun. I my takeaway of this movie is I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I did, or remembered enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think when we talked about this, I was so this is where I learned my lesson about having expectations going into a movie.
Yeah.
The title was Revenge of the Sith, and I was assuming that we were going to get Darth Vader early in this movie. He's going to be in the suit.
Yeah.
He's just going to be slaying Jedi left and right.
Right.
And that's not the movie that we got. We got a very different movie. We got Vader at the very, very end, and a couple Jedi got shot.
Well, you know what's interesting? Because that's not an uncommon complaint about that movie to this day. And it's interesting, though, what that speaks to, as far as what people want out of this movie and out of Vader and out of his origin. Because, we've even, I think when we even did our repitch for the earliest stages of Another Pass, there was even the thought that, Anakin, we would want Anakin leaving the Jedi at the end of episode 2, and episode 3 he's Vader all the way through, maybe not even necessarily in the suit,
right,
but still he's Vader, he's Sith at that point.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what we want to embrace, because in a sense we eventually did get that to an extent with that final scene in Rogue One. I think that's what people were craving out of that. But a whole movie of that could be interesting depending on the story that you tell, because we've also got some fantastic Vader comics as well that do delve into who Vader is and how he operates. But you kind of have to wonder, what does that story say, and do we want that story told in a saga movie? Because I think as I watch this, I kind of was intentionally clearing my mind of that opinion.
Right.
And the idea of Lucas talking about, he wanted to show how close to good Anakin could have been, but just how thin that line between good and evil is, and how easy it is to cross that line. So it almost necessitates,
right, he does awful things for good reasons.
For
justifiable reasons.
Kind of, yeah. And then later does some for awful reasons too, but yeah. But still, that crossing that threshold is something that happens. But I think it's interesting that we wanted to see evil Vader, but Lucas wanted to show us the morality tale,
right?
And it's interesting because in a sense it sounds very similar to a lot of the issues that people have with
Last Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way we can escape this conversation in Star Wars, obviously. But the idea that people didn't want to see a story about failure. They didn't want to see a story about how the reckless heroism that we had gotten that we'd fallen in love with wasn't,
has consequences.
Yeah, exactly. There are consequences. The idea of being a leader versus a hero, regretting your mistakes, and redemption through that, committing to an idea, having to revise ideas that you had built your life on, and then not just throwing them away, but then rebuilding with those building blocks, but building something new out of it. But that's a story that we're not always, ready for.
Right.
And it seems like that's, in some ways, that's a bit of the case with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, that was the case for me in with Revenge of the Sith. Was I thought that's what I wanted, and I thought that's what I was getting going into that movie, and I remember being disappointed. Not disappointed to the level that Last Jedi disappointers seem to be at.
Right.
I wasn't it ruined my childhood.
Yeah,
and they,
not at all.
Lucas completely shit all over everything I believe about Star Wars.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh well, it's kind of cool though. But I don't know if it is the passage of time in my own life, and I'm in a different place now. I don't know if it is because we've had all the backstory of the Clone Wars going into that movie, or if it is any other number of reasons. Just doing this podcast and talking to you, and going into these things like I
think it's mostly talking to me,
way deeper than they really legitimately deserve.
I think talking to me is what made Revenge of the Sith better for you.
Okay, Addy. If that's what you need to hear right now, I'm not giving it to you.
I know you wouldn't. I know you never would.
Not on a podcast. It's being recorded.
I know. Yeah. I mean, you could have slipped up.
No. Almost. Yeah. Almost. Almost. Did.
I think it. We had that conversation recently, but I do think my appreciation of the nuance in Revenge of the Sith is more due to some of the surrounding storytelling that's been established since Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
And that's not to say the nuance wasn't there, but it wasn't apparent. Certain storylines felt more in focus. And I think there's still one key flaw I have with the prequels. And ultimately, I don't think the Jedi look like bad people, or maybe it's not even bad guys. They don't look flawed enough. Like you are always cheering for Yoda and Mace and every single Jedi.
Right.
So you never really feel like, while you feel there is sort of this Shakespearean element of like, the Jedi Council hurts itself by pushing Anakin aside, you also look at Anakin and say, hey, you also need to grow up too. There is they are kind of right too.
Yeah.
You're not ready. You're not ready to be a master yet.
There's heroes on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. The idea of there being heroes on both sides, which is in that opening crawl, but we never see any heroes with the Separatists. Even in Clone Wars, they start establishing a couple.
There's one in particular that just popped into my mind, and as I think about it, it's kind of a hero. Dooku. Dooku goes out knowing he's about to go out and be replaced by Anakin, and keeps his mouth shut. That's not to ruin it.
That's not played well, though, because it's clearly shock on his face. He's like, oh my God, you're betraying me right here.
But he doesn't say anything. He easily could have just been like, he's upset, man.
Yeah. No, I always marvel at that like that, because that's a long time for him not to say anything.
I think he's a hero. I think, from that point of view. From their point of view.
Yeah, but
knowing that this is the long game to put Palpatine in place and create...
Rewatch some Clone Wars and look at some of the awful stuff he does there.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's what we would call... But from that side's point of view...
From the Sith's point of view, he's a hero. To preserve the Sith Sith mission.
Make it better. Anakin's stronger.
Yeah, it's... I mean... I can see that. I don't know if I agree with that totally.
How is he not a hero for the Sith?
Because he fails the Sith?
Yes, but in his failure, he sacrifices himself and he
prepares the way for another. Yeah.
Yes, he's the John the Baptist.
He's the Sith John the Baptist to Vader's Jesus.
Yes. And in that
he
process,
loses his head and everything.
In that process, makes way for the one to bring balance to it all, and he does. This is a Jesus story. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we got the Crusades.
I thought that's how you're going to say that's the logic of a lot of Superman fans out there, too.
I don't know that there is logic in Superman fans.
So
there's a lot of logic in Superman fans. That's not fair. Yeah. They just have a bad taste in the Superman.
Right. Anyway, let's go back to Star Wars for a second. Yeah, I think, again, though, the issue is you don't really feel like the Jedi have truly compromised themselves that much. Because, again, the Separatists are all bad guys. Yep. even Clone Wars doesn't really fix that. You find a few like people here and there, like a politician, but even that politician is kind like you're rooting against him because he's in love with Padme. So like they still kind of put you at odds with them. You do see Jedi starting to defect, which I think helps, and you see how the Jedi kind of like screw over Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka being the addition helps a lot because, one, Anakin becomes a whole lot more likable because of the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. You get to see more of a true friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, which is also something I do get to enjoy a little bit of in Revenge of the Sith. You don't really see it in Attack of the Clones, but you do get to see some of it.
They give you a little bit. They give you a couple scenes.
Yeah, but in Revenge of the Sith, you do get some good stuff there between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
Ahsoka for sure is a big thing. You know, you start giving personality to the clones and all sorts of great stuff. But I think I've rewatched Revenge of the Sith since watching Clone Wars, and it still didn't push it for me. I think the key thing that really, really pushes it for me was that Mace Windu comic that we read a while back, where it showed that Mace is willing to make certain compromises ethically for the sake of the Republic, and is willing to cross lines that a Jedi shouldn't.
Right.
Even before. And that made, like, all of a sudden adds, like, a certain nuance to like, the scenario between Anakin and Mace and Palpatine, and just the way the Jedi Council interacts with Anakin, and the idea of him having to be a spy for the Jedi Council.
Well, that was my takeaway from this movie was we in this trilogy we needed more time establishing what the Jedi Code is.
Yeah.
And exactly like where those lines are drawn, because
and how they compromise themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the problem is you see them fighting for what you think is a righteous, like, for right.
Yeah. And like you said, like, we're never really rooting against them because everybody on the other side is obviously the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to root against
They're
Yoda.
aggressors. Yeah.
You're not going to root against Yoda. You're not going to root against
They're fighting alongside Wookiees, for God's sake. You're never going to,
Like, even if Chewbacca was on the wrong side, I'd still cheer for it.
Right.
Like, so we're not given that opportunity, but so it gets really difficult. Like when the Jedi Council, this is the scene that really kind of struck home for me. This watching is when the Jedi Council asks Anakin to spy for them on Palpatine, which, if you're not paying real close attention, you can miss that. Like, this is a major break of the Jedi Code,
right?
And what Anakin considers and thinks that the Jedi Order should be doing.
And it is. It absolutely is. You're right. And they say it. Yeah. They say it.
And they have no qualms doing it. They're just like, yeah, we got to do it.
My issue with that coming across as something wrong, though, again, falls into the same category. Because the thing is, the problem is, Palpatine is the bad guy. And your hope is, oh, man, maybe they will discover it in time and be able to stop him, even though you know that they're not going to. You know it's already fated, but there's still a part of you that's hoping, like, maybe someone will make the right decision. Maybe, like, we can give Anakin every opportunity not to fall to the dark side, but everyone is just making that, like, Romeo and Juliet style of decision of, like, oh, well, here's the bad decision, and now he's about to kill people, you know.
Now he's got to kill kids.
Right?
Oh, well.
Which, that felt a lot more brutal watching this time more than any other, just because that's been meme-ified so much. So, like, the prequels have become such a joke. Mm-hmm. Have always been kind of a little bit of a joke, and then the memes have like, doubled down on that, and then you got, like, Robot Chicken and every other show out there that's made references. But it was funny, though. Like, this time I was watching it, and I was really pulled in a way, like, to a lot of
emotionally into the story. Like, I was really emotionally into it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed it. It's a better film than I have given it credit for.
Yeah, I totally agree too.
And one of the things that I was thinking about today, as when I got off work, I knew we were going to be talking about this. I was like, I wonder, like, I went in and watched this movie without the same sort of skeptical fanboy glasses that kind of, like, everybody has had on ever since Red Letter Media's breakdown of these films.
Yeah, I've totally pushed that to the side because the problem is, and because I think we've had this experience already because we for fun we tried to put those lenses on for the original trilogy, and it clearly doesn't hold up, and I think that's the problem. Like the idea, like someone else. I think it was Mike Newman who has a fantastic YouTube channel. But he kind of talked about how, like, a plot hole is a term that people use all the time but don't really understand because they use plot hole all the time to explain things that are, like, don't necessarily make sense, like jumps in logic in a plot. And the problem is, yes, a plot hole does involve a jump in logic, but the thing is, it's a jump in logic that there are jumps in logic that are acceptable and some that aren't. Sometimes if you just jump from one place to another without any sort of bridge, that
it's a non sequitur.
Right. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But then there's also certain things where, like, sure, if you think about it hard enough, it doesn't make sense. But the thing is, like, in the sequence and the way a story is told, like, nobody can tell a story telling every single detail from every single angle. You would never you would never tell anything. You would never finish a sentence by doing it that way. So, and I think people have now expanded the idea of a plot hole. Like, and you add Red Letter Media, Cinema Sins, Honest Trailers, I feel to a less extent, only because they tend to have a little bit more fun with it. Yeah. And they're willing to say they like this, even if it's like, oh, like, this doesn't make sense, but we still like it anyway, you know? But people have really, really run with that. Especially, I feel like the one where it annoys me more than any other movie. Like, forget Last Jedi. Like, I get it. Like, some people, it just doesn't resonate. This idea of failure might be something you're not ready to experience, or it's not your journey, it's not your path, whatever. But the time travel bullshit complaints for Avengers Endgame annoy me to no end. Like, I don't understand why some people are so annoyed by that.
You know, because they know how time travel works. They do it on the weekends for fun.
Exactly.
So they read The Time Traveler's Wife, so they know a little bit about this. Okay, they have an area of expertise in which they have studied. They took a physics class in high school,
right?
So you know they know some of these equations.
I just don't understand how you can be so sloppy with time travel.
I mean, these people, man, I love them.
I mean, the funny thing is also when they talk about how, like, the movie gives other movies shit for time travel, like Back to the Future.
Right.
And then they're like, well, then if they were not going to make fun of you can't make fun of it and then not take it seriously. And I was like, they're making fun of the whole concept of time travel to begin with.
Also, this is a comic books movie. Right. This is not put out by fucking NASA.
Right?
Like, not every movie is Interstellar.
And even then, like, Interstellar was like, and love was how we traveled through time. Like, I had a harder time with that for the first time I watched it, but it was better the second time. I came around to it just because that felt like a big jump for me. It's like
that one I was not expecting.
Yeah. This higher form of intelligence thinks love
matters.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I guess.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, it's definitely better the second time around than it was the first time for me.
Still.
Yeah.
Point is.
But still, it's weird the hang-ups that people have like that.
Yeah, it's funny. We had a conversation on this on the Discord server. Me and Matt Storm were talking about this. It's just how we're both just exhausted by nerd culture right now because everybody wants to pick everything apart to the nth degree. And I really, I look back and did that start with Red Letter Media? Are they the guys who really kind of started that and popularized?
We've always been there, is the thing.
Always been there, but not to the nth degree.
You know what? I think so. Because here's the thing. I think it's about the type of it. Because here's the type of dissection that happens. Because obviously we've dissected Star Wars like crazy. You know, we've gone into some like very, very deep paths.
Way deeper than it was.
Yeah, exactly. Than it was maybe ever intended to be. Yeah. And that's the beauty of any art, whether it's high art or, pop art or whatever. Yeah, and Star Wars, which is somewhere in between, in my opinion. But I think the issue that I have isn't so much the dissection; it's the type of dissection. Like, I don't like. Sure, when I was 10, I enjoyed discussing, Batman versus Captain America.
Who would win, right?
Yeah, like that. That's a great conversation to have at certain times. Maybe still, I'm sure I could engage in that conversation.
I could get into that.
I don't get into it quite as much as I used to.
I could get into that one.
I mean, it can be fun, but for me, like, I want to have like. It's funny even with the Star Wars prequels going, like, having issues with it for years, it still added so much depth to the universe, whether you like that depth or not, that you had interesting conversations. I still remember a time before The Last Jedi when I had conversations with lots of different people about is destiny or choice more important? Like, and having that conversation start out of Star Wars and then going into, like, what we think the reality of it is as well. And like, to me, that's the interesting conversation to have. Not like, oh my God, why would they use these style of bombers? And like, what, the idea of gravity in space and all, well, needing that kind of explanation.
Yeah.
Or I need every little bit of politics of how the First Order rose and what the New Republic looks like and how they operate and what their capital city is, and all sorts of different things that somehow people think mattered that never mattered before to them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like the like before, like you were talking about, we would have conversations about nerd stuff. We would have like, okay, who would win? Well, let's do that. But now people go into this stuff like looking for reasons to criticize,
right?
Looking to nitpick and looking to pull every tiny little string apart.
Yeah.
For the sole purpose of tearing it apart.
Right. Not for the sake of making some sort of greater point.
No.
Out of beyond criticism.
Right. Right, and I feel like that really. It sounds like I'm shitting on the Red Letter Media. You guys are very talented guys.
Yeah, and I still enjoy them to some extent. Not on everything, but I still will go and listen to them every now and then.
But they are super critical.
Yeah,
super critical, and it feels like
I also think they don't know what they want anymore too.
No, I don't think so either. I think they're full of shit. Yeah. But the thing's rolling; they can't stop it now.
But I think that's where that type of criticism leads.
Really, oh, for sure.
Because the problem is you
can't enjoy anything.
And the thing is, I noticed, like, you can't be consistent with that criticism, because whenever you go down that path, you start criticizing certain things for certain reasons. But then for the same reasons, you'll totally accept another movie. Because I noticed, and this is where it was a little bit more shocking and a little bit more of a shock to the system, and I'm like, oh, crap, did I back myself into a corner on this? And I'm like, there's certain things I've become more accepting of in Star Wars with the prequels, as, we're talking about Revenge of the Sith, and with Last Jedi. But, like, all of a sudden, like, what if I apply that same logic to Batman versus Superman, which I find to be a steaming pile of crap? But what if I apply that same logic there? Like, am I being overly critical?
No.
and I agree with you on that.
But it's worth the question.
Right. And I started and I started examining, okay, so what is my real problem with this movie? And I figure out, like, could the Save Martha is Save Martha as bad as it is? And you know what? I've come to the conclusion that it's not as bad as it is. It's just not as earned as I would have liked it to be. In the same way that I apply that criticism to Revenge of the Sith. So in a sense, actually, I find Batman versus Superman has elevated a little bit. It's still not a good movie, but it still is in that same category as I'd put Revenge of the Sith. And I don't want to be that guy who says the Star Wars prequels are the worst movies ever, because they never were the worst movies ever. There are far worse movies out there. So it's funny though, like, because it's something we care so much about, that we react so strongly to these little, like, these things that just grate us, and some of it could just be certain things that we weren't ready for. It's fascinating. Like, we were talking about, like, even the idea of the Jedi being engaged in a war being immoral, but that's a discussion. Sure, that it kind of has always existed, but has especially existed in the idea of, like, in the identity of American government in the last 2 decades in particular. And the idea of a righteous war. And you can really even trace that even further back if you want to, but it's really been present and has really been relevant then. And obviously Lucas, I think it makes sense that he was always opposed to that idea, but maybe we were not. All of us were on board for that. Even people who were opposed to the war in Iraq may not have necessarily said that the actual the act of war
is immoral.
Yeah, because sometimes it can be done for a righteous cause. And where does that fall into play here? Because obviously, I don't know if I'd even say Lucas totally disagrees with the idea of war for a righteous cause, but the cause is still important no matter what. So but there's all sorts of thoughts and discussions to be had, and it's the thing that I find fascinating is I feel we've had that discussion with the prequels, and we continue to have that discussion, and hopefully now appreciating it on another level, there's more nuance we can add to those discussions. So yeah, I think that was the cool thing about this rewatch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna hate The Last Jedi.
We're gonna rewatch it. We're gonna be, oh god,
this is awful.
Yeah,
social justice crap.
Yeah, so next week we're gonna end up doing 2 movies in one, since we've dragged our feet on this rewatch. So we'll have
which is shocking because we've enjoyed every movie that we've watched.
I had Attack of the Clones. I didn't enjoy too much.
It was my least favorite of the bunch, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the last act. After the Droid Factory, I enjoy it.
Yeah, the Droid Factory's garbage. It's a bad scene.
I enjoyed the Oral Nuts version of it so much more. That's what we probably should watch tonight. So
we'll see.
Yeah. So anyway, fortunately we also have The Mandalorian.
Woo!
But
That's
what's interesting is I think it's funny, we've gotten a lot of complaints about these last 2 episodes.
Of course. Of course.
Do we even want to bother addressing them?
Are they interesting? Are they reasonable complaints, or are they just like?
Well, the first one was that there were strong women in it. There was a woman who knew how to shoot among the farmers.
Yeah, that was a complaint.
Yeah.
Did they never watch The Seven Samurai?
Apparently not, but apparently they had a problem with it. It's so automatically it's agenda because a woman knows how to shoot a gun and all the men didn't. So there was that.
Which is hilarious because this should be coming from right wingers, right?
Yeah. Who
absolutely love their women to shoot guns.
Yeah.
What are they trying to fight? You can tell when it's just an ideological thing. I'm just gonna hate this because I hate this.
Yeah.
That it's not even reasoned. That's not even a sensible argument from somebody who actually is truly conservative.
Right.
Makes no sense. So it's just gaslighting. It's stupid.
Then the one this week was a little weirder. This one was a little less politically charged. Oh. Well, it wasn't politically charged at all, but it was the idea that now we're doing too much fan service.
I felt that a little bit in this last episode.
Early on, I did.
It was we're doing a lot of fan stuff. We're going to Tatooine.
But I enjoyed it.
I did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
We went to the same bar.
Well, there was did you even see the shot by the cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shot, sat in Han's seat.
Yeah.
And it was just okay, we're doing a lot here in this episode.
It was a lot.
Yes, a lot. Yeah, it was. I didn't dislike it, but I was okay, you maxed your quota here, guys.
Yeah,
you went right to the line.
I felt it. I could sympathize with this complaint a little bit, but that being said, this was still within the realm of okay, we're still playing with the tropes of westerns. This is still the kind of story you tell, and it was fun.
Fun. And I liked
Amy Sedaris was fantastic.
Was cool. I love the fact that the cantina now is run by droids.
Right.
I thought that was
they were never allowed in. Now they've taken over.
Own the thing. That's so subversive.
Yeah.
And I'm no, it's just kind of a cool part of the story.
Yeah.
Relax, everybody. I don't think anybody was trying to make any political statements.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm surprised that didn't come up.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm surprised. Well, maybe now we've done it.
Now we just did it.
That's great. Damn it.
Certain point of view says Star Wars is racist.
Oh, man.
Some blogger out there. Those assholes. They made me upset because they said that the droid shouldn't be able to work in the cantina.
It looked like it was pretty clean too.
Oh, they were like the one was like wiping down the bar.
Yeah, they did a good job.
No, yeah,
they kept it nice and neat.
And they knew like all the information they needed to know. They knew that he was looking for the guilt. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Well, automation isn't the worst idea.
Andrew Yang, 2020.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going for it. Officially, certain point of view is an Andrew Yang. This is our official endorsement. Yang gang,
Yang
gang.
Oh, that's funny.
That would seriously vote Andrew Yang.
I don't mean, calm down, everybody. Let's see how this all shakes out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it only matters for the Democratic primary right now.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll take him over anybody else. I mean, I like Tulsi a little.
Tulsi, I'd like to.
She's all right.
Yeah, but that's not the point of this podcast. Let's move on from this very quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna get shit for it.
You know what we should do? We should do a political talk podcast.
No, I'm not doing a political talk podcast.
See, that would be amazing. Just think of the things that we could talk about.
Except we like going from fart jokes to deep stuff.
You know what politics needs?
Fart jokes.
Fart jokes. Fart jokes.
I can already hear, like, Case is grinding his teeth right now.
Article in Teen Vogue says that certain point of view.
Damn it. Gotta go right for Teen Vogue, don't you?
Every time. It's my favorite go-to punching bag for liberalism. It's my absolute favorite.
Anyway, let's get back to the Mandalorian. Fan service. That's where we were
service.
But you know what? I loved seeing Ming-Na Wen in Star Wars for a very short period.
Her character was very cool.
Yeah, super awesome. And she had the high ground, too.
Yeah, she did have the high ground.
And the Mandalorian knew how to deal with high ground.
Yeah.
I will say I really did enjoy like the spectacle of the bikes at night, and the flares and everything. Like that was a really cool sequence.
I thought the shot where the bikes are just like cruising across the sand in the day was beautiful.
It was. It was very reminiscent of Anakin in Episode 2 when he's going to find the Tusken Raiders.
Speaking of amazing.
Awesome. Sign language?
Who would have known?
Right?
They either scream like crazy people
or they sign.
Sign language. It's like
ASL.
It's an entire group of autistic people. It's like if Aiden had his own group of people. I have hope for my son. He could be a sad person.
I literally can't take any, like I can't grab that and go anywhere with that, right? Like there's nothing
that ends right there.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nowhere else to go.
Like usually when we say things, like there's a handoff that happens.
Yeah. Go ahead, Addy, take that. Well,
I can't even just say, well, I agree.
No. You completely, you don't even you just recognize the moment. You don't acknowledge anything. You just recognize, and you do okay. Well, like, have you not listened tomorrow night when we go?
No, I've done that before when we've had conversations on podcasts.
But tomorrow,
when
we're doing Scruffy, watch how many times Case does it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. He has to do it all the time just to survive mentally.
I guarantee you that's the biggest thing that gets edited out of Scruffy. His Case going, okay.
No, I mean, it's absolutely true. I know that already. That's already how he has to cope.
Other podcasts like have to delete ums and uhs and all that kind of stuff. Ours is, okay.
But to be fair, he invites it.
Oh, yeah. He looks at us like he doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
He loves it.
He brings it on.
It. Oh, yeah. You can see by the end of the night, there's a sparkle in
He's done so much worse than some of the things we've said. I'm sorry, but that hut rape is still ingrained in my memory forever.
Oh, what a nightmare he is.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
Case is kind of like one of those guys that, like, if something ever happened, the neighbors would be like, he seemed really nice.
Oh, no.
Right? Am I right?
I'm not saying that at all. I don't think...
Oh, you look at him and go, oh, this guy's crazy?
No, that's not what I'm saying either.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you doing now?
Backing you into a corner.
What kind of gaslighting are you doing right now?
Such good gaslighting. Why do you hate
Case,
Jews,
I love you.
Addy?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Case, I love you. Scruffy Nerf Herders is the best.
Speaking of gas.
Yeah. No, that was my hostage voice.
I'll have you blink twice. Save me. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, it will be. It will be. I'm looking forward to more Scruffy. We do have a great time, especially when we mess with Case.
Yeah.
On moments like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, our Ewoks episode was insane. Recording that was so much fun.
So much fun.
Frankly, I'm disappointed that my Ewok is dead because...
Oh, I had plans for mine.
Oh, of course you did. You only just got like into the first level of shit in your fur. There were going to be layers.
Oh yeah, I was going to be caked on. I was going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of Predator.
Oh my God!
Just
all right,
little white dead eyes staring out of the mud.
So anyway, so Mandalorian, we got the real big discussion though, the fun discussion has been who is the guy at the end of the episode.
How is this a discussion?
There are a lot of people who think it's Boba Fett.
There's a lot of dumb people, Addy.
It's not entirely impossible for it to be Boba Fett.
He died in the Sarlacc pit.
That's not... Well, so in Aftermath, apparently his armor is found outside of the Sarlacc pit. It's not like he spit out either.
How do you know? Also, his why would he leave his armor?
Maybe he's delirious and he's just I imagine that the true end for Boba Fett is he's delirious and naked through the dune, walking through the Dune Sea, saying, "Boba Fett,
where?"
Exactly. You got it. And he doesn't know who he is.
Boba Fett?
Where?
Is that sort of like Identity Crisis? Where am I? Why am I? Boba Fett?
Boba Feet?
I don't know. I'm so stupid.
But you love it.
Oh my God, I love it.
Because now it's in canon. That's your head canon now for Boba Fett.
So stupid. He's just wandering around. Just butt naked.
Boba Fett?
Boba Fett? Where Boba Fett? Where? Boba Fett where? That's all he can say.
Right?
He's like, I am Groot.
Yeah, exactly.
Boba Fett where? Boba Fett where?
So anyway,
God.
I don't think it's Boba Fett. But that being said, here's the thing, though.
Because he had boots.
Let's
Boba Fett's naked.
Right. Well, so the case that is made for it is Filoni has already had a history of bringing some characters back for his other series,
Maul.
I mean, come on, remember when we saw that Maul was coming back? We were like, oh, are they really doing this? I don't know how we feel about this. I mean, Maul was always cool, but this seems like a bit of a stretch. And then they executed it amazingly well. I mean, the guy was cut in half. He wasn't just being digested by the Sarlacc for 1,000 years.
But now he's twice as awesome.
Yeah, exactly. He is. No, absolutely. And they did some of the best character work in all of Star Wars with Darth Maul after that major retcon to bring him back to life. But so it isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility for Boba Fett.
No. But it doesn't make sense for this story.
I think I'm with you there too. I think at the end of the day, it is time to move on. I do think it's going to be Moff Gideon, Giancarlo
Esposito.
Yeah, Esposito's character, who we haven't seen yet.
Favorite actors.
Yeah,
he really is.
He's so good
about that guy that I love.
Yeah,
I love.
He commands a screen.
Yeah, he's a scene stealer. I think I've told this story before. They first saw him in Homicide: Life on the Street.
Oh yeah, I think you have told me
he was in the final season of that. He's so compelling in that.
Yeah,
it's like him and Andre Bauer acting together.
Oh, that sounds like a great duo. Yeah,
it's magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation you can't, like...
Richard Belzer.
Yeah.
Thrown in the mix. Honestly, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Much better actor than he is a comedian.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah,
that was a great show. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Star Wars.
Oh, Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And that it's... Moff... What's his name? Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like it could be the intro for his character.
Makes the most sense. Like, if you're going to do a Boba Fett reveal...
Well, didn't you also have a theory that it could be Luke? Or no, someone else said a theory that it could be Luke.
No, I did not have that theory because I'm not...
You're not stupid?
I'm not touched? I don't know what's the right word that I'm looking for. Stupid, I guess, yeah.
Sorry, Jason. I don't know who came up with that idea. It wasn't me, for sure.
Definitely wasn't me.
But like Luke, the idea that Luke would be be an enemy for the Mandalorian.
Oh. And he's trying to... Oh, you know what? Maybe I did say that.
Yeah, it feels like you did now.
I feel like I did say that.
Yeah, you just called yourself stupid.
But now that I think about it, it is kind of stupid, but there is sort of like if Luke is coming together.
Well, I'm glad we finally agree.
Yeah. No, that's time to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
You've proved your point.
Yeah.
How many years? Addy finally got the thing he wanted, and it's recorded for all.
And stop. I'm not even going to put theme music on the end of that.
Hell no. You just cut it. You just end it in mid-sentence.
Like The Sopranos?
Yeah, it would just be like... and they'd be like, what is he going to say?
Right.
We'll never know.
I don't think Luke either. But there was like a theory like Sebastian Stan playing him. That was you.
That was me.
That was you son of a bitch. No, but it's not. I mean, that's not a terrible idea either.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to get the baby Yoda.
Yeah,
the wee baby
Yoda. Wee baby Yoda.
We got to get him. So that could be a thing. I don't think it is.
So now, I don't remember if did we talk about this on last week's episode, or was this in the car? But we made a bet. The other thing.
A bet?
Well, I guess we didn't officially make a bet. We did make an agreement. Where it was pretty one-sided.
In that it only happened in your head.
No,
we were talking earlier, but I wish I could see what's going, like figure out what's happening.
Calm down. You'll remember this.
That my wife does to me.
You will remember this.
I got two wives.
All right, calm down. Because I'm going to be coming for child support.
Yeah, you are. Then you're going to take one of the children.
Anyway. So obviously we have 8 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
7 is coming out the Wednesday before.
Is this a numerology thing?
No, it's...
I'm just like...
You're going to remember this in a second. But episode 7 is on Wednesday before, and then episode 8 is after Rise of Skywalker comes out. Uh-huh. The description for episode 8 is an unexpected enemy shows up. Uh-huh. So right now, like, I think that still goes along with our theory of Moff Gideon is going to be the guy. Like, that's going to be the big reveal of the big villain. We're going to get a massive amount of stormtroopers show up, all that kind of stuff, right? But we wondered, is there going to be some sort of connection to the Mandalorian in Rise of Skywalker? Uh-huh. And one theory that you floated out was, what if... my theory was, is Baby Yoda going to be like... will there be like a Skywalker ranch of like the new school of Skywalkers, right?
I know where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. See? Now you see it. I like the build-up, okay?
Damn it.
Now I don't sound so crazy, do I? But the Skywalker Ranch idea of like, the new school of Skywalkers, of Force users,
screaming at me across the room with a microphone in your face. I don't sound too crazy now, do I? No, you sound totally normal. Oh my God! Tell your story. Tell your completely rational.
So that was my theory, but then you threw out right after that. Oh, what if Baby Yoda is one of the Knights of Ren? And there's like the reveal where he like his head just leads out from behind one of the other Knights of Ren. And I promised you that if that happens, I will scream. I will jump out of my seat and take 2 laps around the theater.
Oh my God. That would be amazing. If you just see the little head peek around Kylo's legs, like, hey, and a little tiny lightsaber, and he just starts flipping around like mad, like Yoda. Oh, it would be the best. How amazing would that be?
I really hope that isn't the case because I don't know. My heart can't handle that cardio.
I don't know what would be more amazing, watching that actually happen,
or me having to make the lap and still try to pay attention to the movie,
and me just like unsure which am I supposed to look at, back and forth like a tennis match, trying to keep an eye on the screen to see the amazing thing that I did. It's so unlikely to ever happen, or watching you run up a flight of stairs.
Well, my hope is, actually, no. At Tyson's, they have the tunnel around to the front, so I don't have to go up the stairs. I can do the lap around that way.
The lap downstairs? Okay, I feel better about your chances of actually making it.
Yeah.
Not much. It's still 50-50. You may just get like halfway down that final aisle, right, so you can kind of see the screen and just sit down. I can see that happen.
Yeah, I might do that.
This is good enough.
Yeah. So that was your theory
that's a good
of the connection between the Mandalorian and Episode 9.
Still love that theory.
That would be amazing.
Little angry Sith Yoda would be amazing.
It would
like
be.
A little Gollum.
Oh God, that would be incredible. I'm excited about our day off on the day of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
So my thought is, I want to pick out some episodes of Clone Wars and maybe a couple of Rebels to watch that day, and maybe some Robot Chicken. I mean, it's always good to watch those. Those are always fun.
Are always hilarious.
It always keeps us like I feel like that's always a great way to just kind of like clear expectations and just have fun with Star Wars. That's what we want at the end of the day, right?
No, I want it to change the way I see life, the universe, and everything. I want it to be the greatest box office.
If this doesn't convert me to Jediism,
yes,
Disney has molested my childhood.
Yes, if this does not become a universally accepted, not just piece of art, but more transcendental piece of art.
Honestly, after this movie, the Louvre should get rid of all its art and only have Star Wars in every picture frame. Every movie.
The Mona Lisa should have to be watching Star Wars.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's why she's just content. She's like, I'm watching Star Wars. It doesn't get better than this movie.
Yeah. So on that note, thanks for hanging out with us. Be like the Mona Lisa, content with the Star Wars that we have.
Not the Star Wars you wish you had.
Don't forget to check out all of our other podcasts on A Certain Point of View. You can check them out, certainpov.com. We've got some fun stuff coming up next year, and hopefully in the next few weeks.
We've got a new podcast to talk about. What podcast we're going to talk about?
We're going to have only one new podcast, and because we can only do so much.
3 great ideas.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of great ideas.
Possibly 4.
I mean, honestly, this podcast has been a great idea. It's just we're kind of tired of a particular community. It's not like we want to stop talking about Star Wars. We're still going to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, we're just not going to talk about it with any of you assholes.
Yeah. well, on that note, ignore that. Subscribe, rate, and review.
I mean, not to this show, obviously.
We need the clerk to strike that from the record.
I love both of you.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Your mom does not listen to this
No, my mom
does show.
Not listen. No.
There's no way she would listen to this show. She has much better things to do.
Which is what hurts.
Exactly. I'm just being honest about it. Anyway, you can check it out, certainpov.com, all of our other podcasts. You can join the conversation on Discord. Of course, you can always talk Star Wars with us there, especially as we're approaching Rise of Skywalker and as we exit the Skywalker Saga as well. So all of that again, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my nerf herder.